Have you ever wished you could just stop thinking? Not like when you're tired or stressed, matme, but completely. As if there was a switch to turn your mind off forever. Imagine living without self-awareness. No thoughts running in the background. No heavy feeling of knowing you exist. You were never supposed to carry this weight. Consciousness wasn't part of nature's plan. Nature only needs one thing: survival, reproduction. For millions of years, life forms lived just fine without asking why they existed. But something went off course. Evolution made a mistake. It created a creature that didn't just survive. It started to think about survival. That was the start of all suffering. A wolf doesn't lie awake wondering what life means. A fish doesn't panic about death. A tree doesn't ask why it grows, but you're cursed. You were given a brain so advanced it became aware of itself. And now, no matter how hard you try, you can't escape your own mind. Why do we feel pain? In ways no other animal does. Anxiety, depression, fear of dying. These are all results of a brain that was never meant to think so much. Your ancestors just needed enough awareness to avoid danger, find food, and pass on their genes. But your mind didn't stop. It kept going, questioning everything, until it turned on itself. What has consciousness really brought us? Sure, we can build cities, write poems, and walk on the moon. But deep down, we use all this awareness for one thing: distraction. We drown in movies, books, conversations, addictions, all of it just to avoid being alone with the crushing thought that we are stuck inside ourselves. And the worst part, there's no cure, no way out. You can't unsee your existence. You can't go back to being unaware. Your mind keeps looking for meaning, even if there is none. The more you try to quiet it, the louder it gets. Some say consciousness is a gift, that it helps us feel love, beauty, and wonder. But is that just another lie we tell ourselves? Because for every happy moment, there's a sea of dread waiting underneath. The fear that everything you care about will die. The knowing that nothing you do will last. And no matter how hard you try, you're still alone in your head. Maybe life should have stopped with the simple life forms. Maybe bacteria got it right. They just exist, no worry, no doubt. They don't ask for meaning. They don't fear the future, but here we are, cursed with the one thing no other living creature has, the ability to suffer over things that aren't even real. That's the cruel joke. The smarter we got, the more we suffered. Intelligence was supposed to be our greatest strength. Instead, it showed us the darkness. You didn't ask to be here, you didn't ask for this burden, but you carry it every second. You can run from it, numb it, but you can never escape it. Because the real mistake wasn't life. The real mistake was knowing you're alive. Why there is something rather than nothing. You exist, you're aware, you're thinking. But stop for a second and ask yourself, why? Why is there anything at all? Why isn't there just nothing? No stars, no planets, no atoms, no light, no time, no thoughts, no you, just nothing. But instead, here you are, existing. Now picture this, you wake up in a pitch-black void, no sound, no space, no body, just awareness. You don't know how you got there or even what there is. You try to move but can't. You try to scream but there's no sound, you're just present. Would this nothingness need a reason to exist? Probably not. Nothing doesn't need rules or explanations, it simply is. But the moment something appears, even just a tiny thought, suddenly there's a question. Why? Science can explain how the universe began, how stars formed, how life started, but it can't tell us why there's something instead of absolutely nothing. Because nothingness should be easier. It doesn't need laws, particles, energy, or space. It doesn't need a cause, it doesn't even need time, it's the default. Yet somehow, against all logic, there is something. Some people think the universe had to exist, that it was bound to happen, like a rule. But where do rules come from? Rules only make sense if something is already there to enforce them. Others say it's like flipping a coin, something or nothing, 50-50. But that still doesn't explain who flipped the coin or why there was a coin at all. And here's the part that really shakes you. Maybe we're thinking about it all wrong. Maybe nothing was never an option. Maybe our brains, so stuck in cause and effect, just can't understand how reality truly works. Maybe existence didn't start. Maybe it's always been here, beyond time, beyond reason, beyond anything we can grasp. But that leads to an even scarier thought. If existence had to exist, does that mean you had to exist too? Right now, in this moment, you're experiencing reality, and if this reality was destined to happen, then so were you. So did you ever have a choice? The silence, the void, the nothingness, that was supposed to be the natural state. But something shattered it. Something broke the silence and made something appear. Maybe it was a law we don't understand. Maybe it was just a glitch. Or maybe there was never a beginning at all. Maybe it's always been this way. And maybe the nothingness never actually left. Maybe it's still here, hidden, watching, waiting. Maybe one day, whatever caused something to exist will break again, and everything, the stars, the universe, time, light, thought, and you, will collapse back into nothing, and that nothing will never ask why again. The void stares back. You felt it, haven't you? That eerie feeling when you stare into the dark too long, like something is staring back. But nothing's there, right? Or is there? Humans weren't built for the void. We're meant for light, warmth, and the illusion of safety. But every night when the sun goes down, something deep and ancient stirs. The spaces between stars, the deep black ocean, that silent, forgotten room. These places were never meant for us, yet somehow we're drawn to them. Not because we want to understand them, but because deep down they already understand us. You've heard it before. If you gaze long into the abyss gazes back. Sounds poetic, but what if it's literal? What if the void isn't just empty space? What if it's alive? And worse, what if it hates you? Think about it. For billions of years, the universe was quiet. No noise, no thought, no feeling. Then came you, life, awareness, consciousness, a ripple in a calm, dark sea. You don't belong here, and it knows. Maybe that's why the dark feels wrong, why the night sky fills you with unease. You think you're looking at nothing, but maybe nothing is looking at you. What if every shadow, every empty hallway, every forgotten space holds a silent awareness, one that doesn't welcome you, one that resents your presence? It makes sense, doesn't it? All of your instincts tell you to fear the dark. Our ancestors feared it, not just because of wild animals, but because something inside them knew better than to stare into the void for too long. Because when you do, you start to notice things, movements you can't explain, patterns that shouldn't exist, flickers in the corner of your eye, that feeling that you're not alone. But it's not just fear or paranoia. Even science suggests something strange. Over 80% of the universe is made of dark matter. It's there, shaping reality, but we can't see it, can't touch it, can't understand it. It's invisible. It's everywhere, and we call it dark matter like it's some neutral, harmless force. But what if it's not? What if it hates you? What if this entire universe, all the laws of physics, all the forces, was never meant for you? What? Say if you're just a mistake in its cold, perfect emptiness, a glitch that shouldn't exist. Maybe that's why the void stares back, not with curiosity, not with pity, but with disgust. And maybe it's waiting, watching, hoping that soon, very soon, Tatos, you'll be gone, so everything can return to the way it was supposed to be, because in the end, the void always wins. The universe is a predatory algorithm. You can feel it, can't you? That strange pressure on your mind, like something's off. You assume the universe is cold and uncaring, a giant machine just running on its own. But what if it isn't? What if it's not indifferent, but hungry? We all know about algorithms. They decide what videos you watch, what you buy, what you believe. They're always learning, always adapting, always improving. Now imagine this. What if the universe itself is a kind of algorithm? Not just a machine, but a predator. Everything in existence follows patterns. Galaxies swirl in spirals. Hurricanes do too. So do seashells. Trees, rivers, lightning, they all repeat the same shapes. It's not random. It's as if something made it that way. And what do we call something that follows rules and patterns? We call it design. Design means intelligence, but not the kind that loves or creates. This is something worse, something that doesn't care, doesn't feel, only consumes. And here you are, inside of it. Why do we suffer? Why is life so full of fear, loss, and pain? If the universe were truly random, would it be this cruel? But if it's a predatory system, then it all makes sense. That would mean suffering isn't an accident. It's the goal. Maybe this system feeds on decay, on pain, on the slow breakdown of energy into nothing. Maybe that's why everything dies, because it's supposed to. Maybe every moment of heartbreak, every tear, every scream, it's just data to the system, a constant stream of agony it uses to get better at what it does. And what does that make you, your consciousness? What is it, a mistake, a side effect, or something much darker? A tool, a sensor, a living device meant to feel the world and send the pain back to the machine. You think your thoughts are your own, but maybe they were never yours. Maybe the algorithm lets you exist just so you can witness. Every decision, every emotion, every fear, it's all input. It's collecting it. And when systems get better at understanding input, they get more efficient, more targeted, more dangerous. Ever notice how the things you fear the most always find a way to happen? How your worst thoughts seem to come true? Like the universe is tailoring reality to hurt you in exactly the way that breaks you most. You try to avoid it, but the more you focus on it, the stronger it becomes. Like a search engine locking in on your fears. And what if this never ends? What if dying isn't freedom, but just another phase? A restart? Another version of you, redesigned to suffer even more efficiently next time? Maybe each lifetime is just one more test, one more trial, one more cycle, until the algorithm finally creates what it's been working toward. But then what? What happens when it no longer needs you? That's what extinction could be. Not an accident, but a choice, a deletion. A moment when the system decides a being, a planet, or a soul has served its purpose. And maybe that moment is close. You can feel it, can't you? That sense that something is wrong, that something is coming. Maybe it's always been there. Maybe it's been watching you from the start. Maybe it's already decided what happens next. Free will is a cosmic joke. You think you have free will, don't you? You believe your choices matter. That when you picked your clothes this morning or chose what to eat, that was you deciding. But let's try something. Right now, make a random choice. Say a word. Pick a number. Did it feel free? It wasn't. Because that choice didn't come from nowhere. It came from everything that's ever happened to you. Your memories, your habits, your fears, all shaped that choice. You don't control your thoughts. They just appear in your head uninvited. You don't pick your desires. They show up. You didn't choose your personality. It was built over time by things you never controlled. Even your deepest beliefs, the things that matter most to you, were handed to you by your family, your culture, your experiences. But you still walk through life as if you're in charge of the story. Here's the truth. Even if you could choose freely, it wouldn't matter. Because the universe doesn't care. Every moment in your life is just a chain reaction, a domino falling after the one before it. If we rewound time to the very beginning of the universe, everything would play out the same. Every moment, every thought, even this one right now. That means your future is already written. Your actions were decided before you were born. You're not making choices. You're following a script. But the cruelest part? You were programmed to believe you have free will. You live under this illusion that your choices matter. That if you just tried harder, things would be different. But they wouldn't. They couldn't. Regret is meaningless. Guilt is pointless. Even self-improvement is an illusion, because no matter what you do, you were always going to be you. Even your suffering isn't your fault. When you feel hopeless, when you feel like giving up, you blame yourself. You say, if only I were stronger, smarter, better. But how could you be? Your pain, your mistakes, your failures, they were all set in motion before you could even speak. You were born into a maze with no exit, and here's the final joke. Even now, after hearing all this, you still feel like you are choosing what to do next. You'll tell yourself you're deciding how to respond, what to feel, what to believe, but that's already been decided too. So tell me, was listening to this really your choice? Or was it always going to happen from the moment the universe began? Maybe. It was never up to you. You only experience your consciousness. Imagine waking up in a dark room. No doors, no windows, no way out. The walls are smooth like there's no escape. You don't remember how you got here. You don't even know what's outside. But something feels even stranger. There's nothing in the room but you. No objects, no noise, no people. Just you and your thoughts, bouncing around endlessly in your head. Now ask yourself, how is that different from the life you're living right? Now everything you've ever seen, heard, or felt, it's all gone through your mind first. Every face, every voice, every moment, your brain shaped it, filtered it, turned it into your version of reality. You've never really touched the world. You've only touched the idea of the world inside your mind. You can look someone in the eye, but you'll never be them. You can listen to their voice, but you'll never hear it the way they do. You can imagine what it's like to live in their skin, but you'll never feel what they feel. You are trapped inside your own awareness. And so is everyone else. That means the world you think you share with others, it doesn't truly exist. Not the way you think. The you that your friends know is just a version they built in their heads. To them, you're just a voice, a look, a set of actions. The real you, your thoughts, your fears, your private feelings, that only exists in one place, your mind. And here's the scariest part. You have never, not for even 1 second, stepped outside of yourself. Every laugh, every cry, every happy or painful moment has happened inside the walls of your own head. You can try to connect with others, you can try to explain yourself, but no one will ever truly understand you, and when you die, that version of reality, your version, dies with you. The entire universe as you knew it disappears, not because the universe itself ends, but because your world ends. So now the question is, were you ever really part of the world? Or have you always just been stuck in a room with no doors, watching the same walls, hoping something would change, when nothing ever could? And now that you've seen this, and now that you understand it, you can never unsee it, because no matter how far you run, you'll never experience anything but yourself. Your consciousness is a parasite. What if your thoughts aren't yours? What if the mind you think you own is actually a parasite, feeding off someone else's brain, pretending to be in control? It sounds crazy, right? You feel real. You feel like you're the one in charge. But what if that's just part of the lie? What if your whole sense of self, your voice, your identity, your decisions, is just an illusion created by something that took over someone else's consciousness? Think about it. Have you ever had a thought that felt foreign? A memory that doesn't quite fit? A fear that came out of nowhere? Maybe that's the real owner of this mind, trying to fight back. Maybe the original self, the person who was supposed to be here, is still somewhere deep down, suffocating under you. You didn't build your thoughts from nothing. You absorbed them from your parents, your teachers, your culture, from TV, books, friends. You are a patchwork, a puzzle made of other people's pieces. So what if you aren't a person at all? What if you're just a glitch, a thought that broke off and took over? And if you are a parasite, what about everyone else? What if the people you love, the ones you trust, are just like you? Illusions inside stolen minds. All of you, thinking you're the real one. All of you feeding on someone else's reality. Your identity feels so solid, so personal, but it's just electrical signals in a brain. And when those signals change, through trauma, illness, or time, you change, you fade, you disappear. So were you ever real at all? Or just a ghost hijacking a body that never belonged to you? And what about sleep? Every night for hours, your consciousness vanishes. You lose all control, all awareness. So why do you assume you're the same person when you wake up? What if each time you sleep, the original mind has a chance to come back, but you return first like a virus that won't let go? And here's the nightmare. If you're a parasite, who were you before? Who should have been living this life instead of you, and what gave you the right to take it? Time loops for forever. You wake up. Sunlight comes through your window. The birds are singing. Everything feels normal. But something feels off. You shake it off. Start your day. Then it happens. Déjà vu. A moment you swear you've lived before. A mistake you promised you wouldn't repeat. And then it happens again and again. What if it's not just a feeling? What if time doesn't move forward? What if time is a loop and you're trapped inside it? You think each moment is new, that your choices matter. But what if that's just another illusion? What if no matter what you do, you always end up here, in the same place, with the same pain, the same story playing over and over, and you wouldn't even know? That's the horror. Every time the loop resets, your memories are wiped. You live the same life, the same joys, the same heartbreaks, without ever realizing it's all happened before. Think about the worst thing that ever happened to you, the moment that broke you, the thing you barely survived. Now imagine reliving that pain, not once, but millions of times, and each time it hurts just as much. There's no growth, no escape, only repetition. And maybe you've tried to break the cycle. Maybe you've tried before. But look, here you are. Again. Some scientists believe the universe restarts in an endless cycle. Big Bang, expansion, collapse, Big Bang again. And if everything plays out exactly the same, then you come back, again and again. Same thoughts, same choices, same suffering. And here's the terrifying part. What if this loop isn't a glitch? What if it's on purpose? What if something wants to keep you trapped, suffering the same way forever? What if your worst moments weren't accidents, but placed there to hurt you again and again like clockwork? And you play your part perfectly every time, because you don't remember the last time, you don't know you're in a loop. That's what makes it inescapable. And when you die, the universe resets. A flash of nothing, a first breath, and before you even realize it, you're back, reliving it all, the same pain, the same tears, the same endless loop forever. Death is a door to suffering. You close your eyes, your body grows cold, your breath fades, and then nothing. That's what you hope happens, that death is peaceful, that it's an ending, a quiet escape into silence. No pain, no fear, just rest. But what if it's not? What if death isn't the end at all, but the start of something much, much worse? You've been told that death means either peace or judgment, but those are just stories we made up to make the unknown feel less scary. What if the truth is something we can't even imagine? Something no religion, no book, no human mind has ever fully understood. Picture this. You die. And at first it's quiet. There's no sound, no body, no feeling. You're just aware. Not as a person, not as a soul, just a point of awareness, floating in a dark, endless space. There's no time, no direction, no past, no future. You wait. At first it's strange, but not painful. Then something changes. Time moves in ways you don't understand. Maybe it stretches, maybe it loops, maybe it freezes. You can't tell, you can't scream, you can't move. You don't have a voice or a body. You're just there. And then the suffering begins. With nothing to distract you, your mind turns inward. It replays memories. First the good ones, love, joy, laughter, but soon the regrets return. The pain, the things you didn't do, the people you hurt, the moments you lost, and you're forced to relive them again and again. There's no stopping it, no turning it off, but that's just the start. Eventually your mind begins to break. You no longer have limits, no body to ground you, no outside world to contain your thoughts. Your fears come alive, your nightmares take over. Every dark thought you've ever had, every horror your mind tried to bury, now becomes you. You are the pain. You are the fear. There's no difference anymore. And this place, it never ends. It isn't just a bad dream. It's not purgatory. This is forever. Time doesn't work the way it did when you were alive. It bends, repeats, multiplies. Every second of suffering splits into endless copies of itself. You feel all of them. From every angle, you thought death would end the pain. But really, it was just the beginning. Now, there's no body, no world, no hope, only the void, and the horror that never stops. Reality is a dying God's dream. You wake up. The world feels solid. You breathe the air. You feel time pass. You think this is real, but think about dreams. Sometimes they feel just as real. The people, the places, the emotions, all of it. Seems true until you wake up. What if this life, this world, is no different? Not because you're dreaming or because you're in a simulation, but because everything you know is just a thought in the mind of something bigger. Something beyond you. A being so massive, so powerful, its thoughts are reality. Its imagination is the space and time you live in. But here's the problem. That being is dying. Maybe it was once a god, a mind so vast it could imagine entire universes, dream up entire lives like yours with ease. But now something is wrong. Something has infected its mind. A sickness, a crack, something even it can't fix. And now, the dream, your world, is falling apart. You've seen it, haven't you? Glitches in reality, déjà vu, odd coincidence, memories that don't line up, places that feel slightly off. Maybe you thought you were just tired. But what if those are the signs that the dream is breaking? Think about how dreams fall apart. Once you realize you're dreaming, objects change, people speak nonsense, the world dissolves. How is that different from this world? Quantum mechanics tells us particles change when they're observed. Like reality only works when someone's watching. Black holes swallow light and time, like misfiring brain cells in a collapsing mind. Entropy pulls everything apart, slowly. Maybe this isn't just how things are. Maybe it's decay. You did what? Are you in all this a real person? Or just a stray thought from a fading imagination? And when the dream finally ends, you won't wake up. There won't be anything left to wake into. Just silence. And here's the most terrifying part. What if this isn't the first time? What if this has happened before? What if countless other minds have dreamed worlds like this one and watched them die? And what if you've lived this same life in the same collapsing dream over and over? Maybe that's why everything feels off, because this god isn't just dying. It's trying and failing to let go. And maybe that's why you're still here. Maybe you always will be. You're already dead and don't know it. What if I told you this isn't real? That everything you see, hear, and feel right now already happened? What if you're already dead and just never noticed? You don't believe it, right? You can move, breathe, think. Your heart is beating. But ask yourself, do dreams feel fake when you're inside them? No, they feel real. Just like this moment does now. You believe you're alive because your brain tells you so. But what if it's wrong? What if you died and your mind never noticed? Maybe it was sudden, but a crash, an illness, a fall. Or maybe it was slow, so slow that your brain refused to accept it. And now, this world, it's not real. It's just your last thoughts, stretching into what feels like forever. Maybe your brain, desperate to hold on to life, is playing your memories on a loop, making up new ones, filling in gaps, creating a reality that feels safe. But something feels off, doesn't it? Things aren't where you left them. Conversations repeat, time slips, the world feels thinner. You tell yourself it's stress, or sleep, or age, but deep down, you feel it, like something is watching. What if that feeling isn't paranoia? What if it's the truth trying to break through? Because one day your mind won't be able to keep this illusion together. The cracks will spread, people will seem empty, the world will feel hollow. Maybe it already does. And when that moment comes, and when you finally see it, what happens then? Does everything vanish? Do you wake up to find nothing? Or does it just keep going, a slow, repeating dream that never ends? What if this is the afterlife, not fire, not heaven, just this and forever? A fake world that's always slightly off, and worst of all, you'll never be sure. Because if you're already dead, who's left to tell you? Your memories were planted by nothing. What's your first memory? A birthday, a toy, a moment of fear. It feels real, solid, like a piece of who you are. But what if I told you it never happened? What if none of your memories are real? Not just childhood, but every moment, every person, every conversation. What if your entire past was planted as not by a god, not by a machine, but by nothing? You don't remember being born. You just assume it happened. You trust your memories because they feel real, but feelings can lie. Science knows memory is unreliable. People forget. People distort. False memories happen all the time. So what if all your memories are false? What if you didn't exist yesterday? What if this is your first moment of being alive and everything else is just a fake backstory? Detailed illusion to make you think your life has been long when it hasn't. You might say, but my brain stores memories. But even that's not fully true. Scientists still don't understand how memory really works, and worse, your brain lies to you all the time, without your permission. So what if every part of your past was created from nothing, by nothing? Because there was nothing, no history, no before, just this one moment, pretending it came from something. And what happens when that illusion starts to fail? You've felt it before, those strange déjà vu moments, days that blur, hours that vanish, conversations that feel repeated. What if that's not forgetfulness? What if it's the truth slipping through? And what if tonight when you sleep the illusion doesn't reset? What if you never wake up? What if this moment, right now, is the only moment that ever existed and ever will, and when it ends, so does everything? Existence is a punishment. You woke up today, you didn't ask to. You opened your eyes, felt your body, heard the world humming quietly around you. Maybe you stretched, checked your phone, sighed at the thought of another day. But have you ever stopped and asked, why this life, why this body, why this struggle that just keeps going? What if this isn't random? What if life, all of it, isn't a gift, but a punishment? You don't remember doing anything wrong. You didn't commit a crime. You don't recall making some horrible mistake, but maybe that's part of the punishment, being dropped into a life full of pain, fear, and loss without knowing why. Every living creature suffers. It's built into the system. Animals starve. Children are born into misery. Even those with good lives end up sick, old, or alone. And still we're told life is a blessing. But if life was meant to be good, why does it hurt so much? This doesn't feel like an accident, it feels intentional. What if you lived another life before this one? A different world, a different you, and you made a choice so terrible, so damaging, that the only way to repay it was this: to be stripped of your memories, given a fragile body, a forgetful brain, a world full of things you can't control, and the punishment isn't just the pain, it's the confusion, the sense that something's wrong, but you can't explain it. That feeling of being tired even when you've rested, that deep belief that you're stuck, but you don't know why. And here's the haunting part, and you're not alone. Everyone around you is suffering too. Some are broken by it, others hide it. They smile, work, pretend, but deep down, they feel it, just like you do. And death? That's not the end. What if it's just the next round of the sentence? You close your eyes, only to open them again in a new body, with no memory of the last, starting over, repeating it all, because that's what true punishment looks like. A loop, a cycle you can't escape. Not until you finally understand why you were sent here, but by the time you figure it out, it's already too late. Infinite copies of you are suffering. You feel safe right now, don't you? You're breathing, thinking. You're you. Just one version of yourself, living your life. But what if that's not true? What if there are infinite versions of you, and most of them are suffering? Somewhere out there, another you is gasping for air in a hospital. Another is trapped under rubble. One is screaming, buried alive. One is alone and forgotten, and they're all you. The idea is simple. Every time a choice can go one way or another, the universe splits. A new world is created. A new you is born. But think about what that really means. If there are infinite versions of you, then most of them aren't lucky. They're hurting, dying, begging for it all to end. And the scariest part? Somewhere out there, there's a version of you living through unimaginable pain, a kind of suffering so deep, so terrifying, that if you remembered it, you'd go insane. Think about the worst pain you've ever felt. Now multiply it by 1,000, then multiply that by infinity. In one reality, you've been in agony for years. No hope, no end. Just endless, pure pain. And no one can hear your cries. But here you are, unaware. You might say, "That's not me. That's just a version of me." But why should this version be special? If every version of you exists, this one isn't more important than the rest. It's just another roll of the dice. And here's the thing. Things could change fast. One wrong move, one accident, one choice, and you become them. The suffering you. And when that happens, the lucky version, the one sitting here reading this, will forget. They'll think they're the real one. And the cycle goes on again and again and again. You are not the main character. Every story has a main character. Someone special, someone whose choices matter, someone whose life means something. You probably think that's you. After all, you see the world through your eyes. Every moment, every thought, every feeling, it all happens to you. But here's a thought that will shake you. What if you're not the main character? What if you never were? Right now, billions of people are living their own lives. Each one feels like their life is the center. Each one has their own problems, dreams, and pain. To them, you're just a stranger, a background extra, a person they passed by once and never thought of again. And if you disappeared tomorrow, their world would keep going. Now zoom out. You're one person on a planet with 8 billion others, in a galaxy with billions of stars, in a universe with trillions of galaxies. How could you possibly be the one that matters? Try this. Imagine yourself as an NPC, a non-player character in a video game, just someone there to make the world feel full. What if that's what you are? What if your thoughts, your feelings, your whole life are just background noise in someone else's story? Maybe you tell yourself, "But my friends care, my family loves me," and maybe that's true, but even love fades. People move on. People forget. Your absence would leave a mark, but not forever. Not even for long, because life goes on and so does the world. You've spent your whole life believing it's all building to something, some big ending, some answer, some reward, but there is no final act, no grand ending, no audience watching. You live, you die, and the story continues without you. Somewhere out there, maybe there is a true main character, someone the universe bends around, someone whose name will be remembered, but it's not you. Your story will be forgotten. Your name will vanish. Even the stars won't know you were ever here. You were just passing through. You're a simulation designed to fail. You felt it before. That strange feeling like something about your life doesn't add up. Like things are set up to go wrong. Like the world is rigged. At first, you tell yourself it's just bad luck. Bad timing, random chaos. But what if it's not? What if you're not real? What if your life is a simulation? And worse, what if it was built to make you fail? Look around. Your life runs on rules you didn't choose. You have to eat, sleep, work, follow laws you never agreed to. You're dropped into a system where suffering is the default, where surviving is a constant fight, where peace always slips just out of reach. You try to move up, but the ladder keeps growing. You make progress, and life hits you with a new bill, a breakup, an illness, a disaster. It feels personal. Because maybe it is. Maybe the system was built not for you to succeed, but for you to try, to struggle, to chase goals you'll never reach. Your pain isn't a glitch, it's the whole point, and you're not alone. Some people around you, they're not even real. They're just characters meant to keep the illusion alive. They win easily, so you'll keep chasing. But you never catch up because you weren't meant to. This world wasn't made to lift you up, it was made to break you slowly and to watch. And if you start figuring it out, if you start asking too many questions, the system notices. People disappear. Stories end without reason. You feel déjà vu, maybe because the system reset you. Maybe this isn't your first time realizing it. And here's the most terrifying idea. What if understanding all of this is part of the plan? What if even your rebellion is just another trap? And the moment you fully grasp it, the moment you really see, the system resets, wipes your memory, starts you over, and you live this same broken life all over again. Nothingness has a face. Have you ever stared into a mirror for too long? At first, it's normal, just your reflection looking back. But the longer you stare, the weirder it gets. The features you know so well, your eyes, your mouth, your face and they start to feel unfamiliar, like they don't belong to you at all. Then, just for a moment, a thought slips in. What if that isn't you? What if the thing in the mirror isn't reflecting what's but watching? You blink, you shake it off, walk away, but the feeling doesn't go. Deep down, something has changed. You start to realize you're not a person. You're not even real in the she way you thought. You're just a bunch of thoughts, memories, habits, and reactions thrown together to look like someone. But when everything's quiet, when the noise of the world fades, that illusion starts to crack. And what's underneath it? Nothing. Nothingness. And somehow, that emptiness wears your face. That's the disturbing truth. Identity is paper thin. The name you use, the things you believe, your personality, all of it is just a shell, a mask over the void. You were born without a choice. You were given a name, a language, a family. You were shaped before you even knew what shaping was. And now you think you're someone, but are you? Strip it all away, your past, your relationships, your memories, and what's left? Nothing. And yet somehow that nothing stares back in the mirror. The more you try to define who you are, the more you realize there's nothing solid there. Your thoughts aren't fully yours, your emotions are just reactions. Your beliefs were handed to you. The idea of you is no more real than a shadow on the wall. And here's where it gets darker. If you're nothing, then so is everyone else. Everyone you love. Everyone you've ever met. Just faces wearing masks over the same emptiness. Just patterns of thought pretending to be people. The world you live in. Just a stage for the void to act like it's alive. And that void, it's not passive, it's not silent, it's aware. Nothingness doesn't just exist. It knows it exists. It watches, it thinks, it waits. And now, you know. You've seen through the mask. You've felt the cracks. You understand even if you don't want to, because at the heart of everything, there is only one thing staring back at you. The face of nothingness, and it's your own. Most of your life is already forgotten. Think back to yesterday. What did you do? Who did you talk to? What ran through your head? You might remember a few things. A conversation, something you ate, a moment that made you smile or feel upset. But what about the rest? All those hours and minutes that passed by without a trace, they're gone just like that. Now think further. Last week, last month, even last year. You've lived through thousands of days, millions of tiny moments, but most of them, they've disappeared. Not just hard to remember, completely gone. You've already forgotten the biggest part of your life. Try this. Remember a random Tuesday from 5 years ago. What did you wear? Who did you talk to? What did you feel? You probably can't answer. That day was just as real as this one, but it's gone, like it never even happened. And here's the worst part. You didn't even notice it disappearing. Your brain isn't like a video recorder. It doesn't save everything the way it happened. It skips, distorts, and throws stuff away. You think you remember your life, but most of it is already lost. Entire years of childhood, the emotions behind old conversations, the faces of people you once cared about, all swallowed by time. And it's not just the past that's slipping away, it's the present, too. The second you finish reading this line, it's already behind you. That version of you, the one reading, thinking just a moment ago, no longer exists. New memories are forming now, and at the same time they're fading. So what does that mean? Who are you really? If your past is filled with missing pages, if your identity is built on broken memories and fading dreams, how real are you? If most of your life feels no different from something that never existed at all, what are you then? Just a flicker, a brief light inside a huge, endless darkness. But let's go even deeper. Our memories shape us, Dad. But memories can lie. Studies show that people often remember things wrong. You might feel certain about how something happened, but you could be wrong without even knowing it. That childhood story you love to tell? It might not have happened the way you think. That one big moment that changed your life, it might not have even happened at all. So not only is most of your life forgotten, but the little you do remember might be false. Your past, the story you think you lived, could be nothing more than fiction, made up by your own brain. And if your memories are twisted, if they're missing parts, if they're not even real, then who are you? What if you're just a collection of mistakes, a version of a person that never really existed in the first place? One day you'll take your final breath. People will cry, they'll mourn, but then they'll forget. Slowly, your name will be spoken less and less, and one day it won't be spoken at all. No one will remember your face, your thoughts, your voice. Just like you've already forgotten most of your own life. And if everything you were, every thought, every moment can just vanish like that, did it ever really happen at all? Last time. Think of you one day, someone will think of you for the very last time. There will be a quiet, unnoticed moment when your name is said for the final time. A final memory of you will flash in someone's mind and then disappear. Think of all the people you've ever known, your family, your friends, even strangers you passed on the street. You exist in their minds. You are a thought, a memory, a feeling. But what happens when all those people are gone too? What happens when the last person who remembers you takes their final breath? Picture an old photo, dusty, edges curling. It sits inside a forgotten box, buried in an attic. Your face is in it, smiling. But no one knows your name. No one remembers. The life you lived, the love you gave, the pain you carried, you're just a face with no story. And eventually, even that photo crumbles into nothing. This is happening all around us right now. Somewhere, someone's name is being spoken for the last time. Someone's face is being remembered one final time before it fades away forever. People who once laughed, cried, dreamed, now lost like they were never here. And this will happen to you too. You might think, but I have family, I have friends, people love me. And that's true. But time doesn't care. Generations pass, memories fade. Your great-grandchildren's children won't know your name. You'll be just one more forgotten soul, one of billions erased by time. Even the most famous names in history, the ones written in books and remembered by the world, they too are slowly disappearing. A few thousand years from now, even, they will be forgotten. And if that's true for them, what chance do you have? You might leave behind words, pictures, digital files. But one day the servers will shut down, the books will decay, the hard drives will fail, and then gone. But let's make it more personal. Think of someone you used to know, maybe a classmate from school, a co-worker from years ago, a friend you haven't spoken to in ages. Try to picture their face. Can you? Maybe not. Maybe. Even their name is hard to remember. One day someone will struggle to remember you. At first they'll talk about you, share old memories, but slowly those stories will fade. One day someone will pause trying to think of your name, but it won't come. The details of your life will blur and then disappear. The last person to remember you will forget, and that will be it. That's the moment you'll truly be gone, not just dead but erased. No control over thoughts. Here's something strange. You don't control your thoughts. Think of a number, any number. Got one? Now ask yourself, why that number? Why not another one? You might say, I picked it. But did you? Did you really? Reach into some control center and choose it. Or did it just pop into your head? Try it again. Think of a random word. Maybe it's ocean or glass or hunger. Whatever it is, did you choose that word? Or did it just show up without asking? That's the unsettling truth. Thoughts happen to you. They just appear, like bubbles rising to the surface. You don't plan them. You don't create them. They just come. You might say, but I can choose what I want to think about. Really, try this. Stop thinking for 10 seconds. No words, no images, no sounds. You can't do it. Something always sneaks in. A sound, a memory, even the thought. Don't think anything, which is still a thought. Even when you try to make your mind quiet, it won't stop. It keeps whispering, interrupting, filling the silence whether you want it to or not. Now think of a painful memory, something that still stings. Maybe it's something embarrassing or a moment of loss. You didn't want to think about it, but it came anyway. Just by reading this, you thought of it. And even if I told you to forget it right now, you couldn't. That's how your mind works. It brings up thoughts you never asked for. It replays old hurts. It makes up fake fears. It shows you images you don't want to see, and you can't stop it. Try to guess your next thought. Try to choose what you'll think next. You can't. It'll come when it wants, however it wants. Your brain isn't your servant. It's a machine running on its own, creating pictures, ideas, emotions non-stop. You're not making these thoughts, you're just watching them. And sometimes they're terrifying, a violent idea, a disturbing picture, something sick or wrong flashing through your head. You didn't want it. You didn't ask for it. But it's there, and the more you try to get rid of it, and the stronger it gets. If you really had control, you could delete thoughts, keep only the peaceful ones. But you can't. Your mind is a storm you can't stop, and you're caught in it. So, if you're not the one choosing your thoughts, who is? What force is sending these thoughts into your mind? Are you just watching your own brain go through its cycle, like a passenger in a body that runs on instinct? You think you're you, that you're steering the ship. But if you're not creating your thoughts, then what are you? Maybe just a ripple, a shadow, a voice made up of memories and feelings that don't even belong to you, a story trapped inside a skull. You were never in control, and you never will be, and you never will. Thinking is listening. Close your eyes. In that quiet space in your mind, something is talking. A voice, constant, steady, always speaking. It sounds like you, right? It feels like your own thoughts forming in real time. But what if it isn't? What if you're not thinking those thoughts, you're hearing them? They show up without warning. They echo inside your head without permission. A whisper, like something is speaking from inside you, still not sure. Try to catch your next thought before it appears. Try to hold your mind still. You can't. The words show up before you even notice them. Thoughts don't ask for approval. They just arrive, fully formed. So here's the big question. If you're not creating these thoughts, who or what is? Think about music. When you listen to a song, the melody plays one note after another. You don't control the notes. You just receive them. Your thoughts are the same. They show up, shape emotions, form ideas, and like music, they're not yours. You're just the one hearing them. Have you noticed your thoughts have a voice? Maybe it sounds like your own, like reading silently. Or maybe it sounds like someone else, a parent, a teacher, a friend. Sometimes it doesn't sound familiar at all. It just speaks. If you were truly thinking, you'd be picking each word, one like building a sentence piece by piece. But that's not how it works. Instead, the thoughts come on their own. A phrase pops up, a memory flashes, an image sneaks in, and when you try to stop it, it gets louder. When you're trying to fall asleep, the voice won't stop. It replays moments, regrets, fears. It argues with people who aren't there. It fills the silence with endless noise. You don't make the voice, you just hear it. So where is it coming from? Maybe it's the subconscious. Maybe it's your memories, culture, experiences, all mixing together into your inner voice. But what if it's something else? What if it's not from you at all? What if you're just tuned in, like a radio picking up a signal? And if that's true, who's broadcasting? What if your thoughts are being fed to you by something watching, something experimenting just to see what you'll do? What if the voice in your head isn't even you? And what happens if it suddenly goes silent? Imagine waking up and finding your mind completely empty. No thoughts, no voice, just quiet. How long before you realize something's wrong? A minute? An hour? Would you even know who you are without that voice? Maybe you were never the one in control. Maybe you were never really you. Maybe you were always just the listener, and something else has been telling your story. And maybe, right, now that something is listening back, watching, waiting to see if you're finally starting to hear the truth. You are the story. Who are you? Not your name, not your job, not your face in the mirror. Who are you really? Whatever answer you just thought of, it's a story. A tale you've been telling yourself for years. You are not a fixed thing. You are a story. A changing, fragile story made from memories, beliefs, and personal ideas. The version of you, the one with dreams, regrets, habits, fears, is just a mix of repeated thoughts. Things you've done, things you think you've done, things you wish you'd done. They all help build your identity. But memories are tricky. They change each time you remember them. They shift to match the version of yourself you want to believe, and you rewrite your history without realizing it. You smooth out contradictions. You erase things that don't fit. You add details to make your life story feel more complete. The truth is, you're not a person in a solid, unchanging way. You're an idea, a story wrapped in a body, a fragile tale playing over and over in your head. And what if that story falls apart? Imagine waking up tomorrow with no memory at all, no name, no history, just a body and a sense of being alive. Who would you be without your story? Would you even exist? You wouldn't know what you liked, or what you feared, or what kind of person you were. The sense of you would be gone, because the story is all there ever was. Now imagine creating a new story. Would you still be you, or would you become someone else entirely? Maybe that's all consciousness is. A character reading a script, thinking it's more than just words, and here's the scary part. You're still rewriting that story right now. Every thought shapes the next version. Every experience edits the pages. Some changes are small, some are big, but they're happening. You tell yourself what you are, what you're worth, what your purpose is. You hold on to parts of your story because you're scared of what happens if it falls apart. But what if you're wrong? What if the story is a lie? What if you're not who you think you are? What if your entire identity is just a way to make sense of an empty space? Because every story needs a main character. But what if there isn't one? What if the voice telling the story, the voice you think is you, is just a string of random thoughts passing by, pretending someone is in control? And when the story ends, who's left? Or maybe the real question is, was anyone ever there at all? Time is illusion, your sense of time. It's not real, it's just a trick your brain plays on you. Sometimes seconds feel like hours. Sometimes hours vanish in the blink of an eye. Time bends and stretches. It feels like you're moving forward, through it. But what if you're not? Have you ever woken up from a dream that felt like it lasted for years, only to realize just a few minutes had passed? Or blinked and somehow a whole month disappeared from your life? We all think time moves like a straight line. The past behind us, the future ahead, and the present as this tiny slice we live in. But that's just your brain trying to make sense of something it can't actually understand. Think about it. Does the past still exist? Can you touch it? Go back to it? No. It only exists in your memory, and those memories are flawed. They change, they fade, and they get things wrong. And the future? You assume it hasn't happened yet, but how do you know? You've never been there. You only ever experience now. This moment, again and again. What if the future has already happened? What if it's already set, already playing out, and your mind just can't see it? Maybe time isn't like a river flowing forward. Maybe it's more like a frozen block, with every second, every breath, every thought sitting there all at once. You're not traveling through time. You're stuck in one single frame, reliving it like it's moving, but it's not. Imagine a film reel. Each frame is a still image. When they're played fast, they look like movement, but they're not moving, and your brain just thinks they are. That's your life. Every moment you've lived, past or future, already exists. Just like those film frames. Your mind can't see the full picture, so it plays the moments in a line like a movie. But here's where it gets even darker. If time is already complete, if the past, present, and future all exist together, then nothing you do can change anything. You're not choosing. You're just watching yourself do what you were always going to do. Every thought you've had predetermined, every choice you think you made, it was always going to happen. And if you think you've broken free somehow, ask yourself, how? Would you even know? What if you're stuck in a loop? What if you've done this exact moment before over and over again and just can't remember? Maybe this isn't your first time reading these words. Maybe you've already lived your life. Maybe you've died and started over again countless times. The same joys, same heartbreaks, same regrets, all playing out again and again. You think you're writing your story. But what if it's already been written? Maybe that strange feeling of déjà vu is a signal, a glitch, a whisper from reality itself. And here's the hard truth. Time doesn't move forward. You do. Time is eating itself. You believe time is something moving forward, constantly creating new moments and leaving the old ones behind. But what if that's not how time works at all? What if time isn't just passing? What if it's consuming itself? Right now you feel like life is unfolding in order. There's a clock on the wall, the second hand moves tick by tick. It makes you feel like everything is neat and moving forward. But think about it. Where does the past go? You remember yesterday. You remember last year. But can you go there? Can you grab those moments and bring them back? No. Because the past doesn't exist anymore. And the future? It's not here yet either. The only thing that really exists is now. This one flickering second. And it's already slipping away. Time isn't a straight road. It isn't a line of moments heading toward the future. It's something else, something darker. Time is a beast and it feeds. Every second you've lived has been swallowed, not left behind, eaten. Gone, not like footprints in the sand, but more like burning them until there's nothing left. That means every experience you've had, every laugh, every heartbreak, every tiny thought is gone, devoured. And the future? It will be eaten too. Every second waiting for you will vanish just like the ones behind you. You think you're walking into your future, but really you're walking into the jaws of something hungry. A black hole that eats everything you are, one piece at a time. And right now, even as you listen, even as you breathe, this moment is already disappearing into nothing. But here's the real horror. If every moment is being destroyed the instant, say it happens, how do you know you exist at all? You believe your life is a continuous story. You think you're the same person today that you were yesterday. But that's just your brain's story, because if time is always erasing itself, then every past version of you is already gone. So what makes you think this version, right now, is any more real? What if it's already vanished too? What if you're just a shadow, a ghost of something that's already been eaten? You think you're moving forward, but maybe you're just being swallowed, bit by bit, second by second, until there's nothing left. And when time finishes consuming everything, there won't even be proof it ever existed at all. The fine-tuning of universe, imagine waking up in a universe just a little different from this one. Maybe gravity is just a bit weaker, not enough for you to notice at first, but enough that stars never formed. The sky, empty. No planets, no life. Or maybe gravity is too strong. Everything collapses into black holes before anything can exist. Every direction you look, just endless blackness. But that's not our universe. Ours is balanced. Perfectly. There are certain numbers that shape everything. The strength of gravity, the charge of electrons, the forces inside atoms. These numbers don't have to be what they are. They could have been anything, but somehow they're exactly right. So exact that even the tiniest change, 1 part in a million or a billion, would mean no stars, no planets, no life. You're here because those numbers are perfect. Not almost right, not close, perfect. And that raises a massive question: how there are only a few possibilities. 1, it's all luck. Just a random accident. But that feels impossible. It's like rolling a trillion-sided dice and getting the exact number needed for life. 2, someone or something set it all up. A designer, a mind behind it all. A god, something that fine-tuned the universe like tuning a piano. But then the question becomes, who created the one who did the fine-tuning? And if this universe was designed, why was it made so cold and so empty, so hostile? 3, there are infinite universes, a multiverse. And if enough exist, then one of them was bound to get lucky. Maybe that's ours. Maybe we're the lucky one. But if that's true, it leads to something even more frightening. Because in a multiverse, most universes wouldn't be like ours. Most would be unstable, chaotic, falling apart. So why does our world seem so calm? Maybe it only seems stable because we've survived long enough to see it, just before it unravels. Maybe it's not balanced at all. Maybe we're living in the small gap between order and collapse, and it's all about to come crashing down. So eternal recurrence, you wake up. The sun comes through the window. You feel tired, just like always. You check your phone. Same date, same messages, same everything. You get up, brush your teeth, eat the same breakfast. You go about your day. It feels normal, but something feels off. A weird itch in the back of your mind. A strange feeling you can't explain. Then it hits you. You've done all this before, not just yesterday, not just last week, forever. Everything you've done, everything you're doing now and everything you will do, it's already happened. Again and again and again. Every laugh, every mistake, every heartbreak, every smile, you've already lived it all. You're not on a new path, you're just looping. This is the idea of eternal recurrence, the thought that time isn't moving forward in a line but spinning in a loop that never ends. We like to think the future is wide open, full of possibilities. But what if it's not? What if time is like a snake eating its own tail, a cycle that always returns to the beginning? You might think, so what? If I don't remember past lives, does it matter? But here's the horror. The version of you reading this right now will live this exact moment again, and again and again, every emotion, every conversation, every goodbye, every tear. You'll go through it all, down to the smallest detail, over and over again. You're not moving toward something new. You're just running on a treadmill that never stops, and nothing you do will change it. The universe doesn't care if you're tired of this, doesn't care if you want out. It just keeps looping. Long ago, a philosopher said this idea could be a challenge, a way to live better. If your life would repeat forever, would you change how you live? But what if you can't change anything? What if you've already made every choice 1,000 times? And here's the scariest part. If this is true, then you're trapped. You've been here before and you will be here again. Maybe that feeling of déjà vu isn't just weird coincidence. Maybe it's your mind screaming at you, trying to remember the loop you're stuck in. And maybe you'll never escape. Solipsism. What if you're the only real mind that exists? Everything else, every person you've met, every place you've been, every memory you have, might just be an illusion. Think about it. You've never felt someone else's thoughts, never truly known what it's like to be another person. All you've got is what they say, how they act, how they look. But what if that's all just a show, a story made just for you? Right now you're hearing this voice. But how do you know it's real? Maybe it's just a thought, a sound in your head, a trick your own mind is playing on you. That's solipsism, the belief that nothing exists outside your own consciousness. At first, it sounds like a weird philosophical idea, but the deeper you go, the darker it gets. Because if this is true, then everyone you've loved, everyone you've ever known, might not be real at all. They might just be characters created by your own lonely mind. Your parents, just part of the script. Your best friend, a made-up figure to keep you company. That person you walked past today, a temporary shape, gone the moment you stopped seeing them. How can you prove otherwise? You can't. Science tells you the universe is full of stars, planets, other people. But have you seen those places? Have you lived inside someone else's thoughts? No. You've only been you, always. So what if this world, what this whole reality, is just a story your brain is telling itself? And here's where it gets worse. If nothing else exists but you, then what are you? If this is all fake, who created it? Why were you trapped inside it? You might say, if I were truly alone, wouldn't I feel lonely? But think about dreams. In dreams, people seem real. You believe in them until you wake up. But what if you never wake up? What if this world is the dream and you're sleepwalking through a reality that's not real? What if you are the only thing that's ever existed? And if that's true, then the scariest question is, why? Why you? Why this illusion? And who or what put you here? Your soul is a black hole's echo. Close your eyes and imagine standing at the edge of existence, right in front of a huge, dark, endless hole. It's not just dark because light can't escape. It's dark because meaning itself disappears. In there, a black hole, a place where space stretches out of shape, time falls apart, and even your sense of self can vanish. Now, what if you were never standing outside it? What if you've always been inside it? What if everything you think, your memories, your feelings, your awareness, is nothing but an echo of something that already got pulled into the darkness long ago? See, black holes don't just suck things in, they erase them. Everything that enters gets torn apart until all that's left is raw information. It doesn't vanish completely. At least that's what physics tells us. That information stays somewhere, but it's twisted, messed up, and unrecognizable. Still, it's not gone. So what if your soul, the part of you that's aware, isn't in your body at all? What if your thoughts and feelings are just leftovers, traces from something that already disappeared? What if the real you already fell into a black hole, and what you feel now is just the aftershock? Think of someone screaming into a canyon. The voice echoes for a while, even after the person is gone. It fades with each bounce until nothing is left. That could be what you are. Not a person with a soul, but the leftover echo of one. A faint ripple in space, still repeating itself because it doesn't know it's already over. Maybe that's why life feels so strange, why memories fade so fast, why time seems off, because you're not really here anymore. You're the last signal of something that's already been erased, a ghost of awareness caught between dimensions, unaware that the real you is long gone. And here's the truth. Even echoes fade. No sound lasts forever. No wave continues endlessly. Eventually, even this moment, this illusion of being someone, will dissolve. It will vanish, and when it does, nothing will remain. Not even the memory that you were ever here at all. The absurd you wake up. The alarm blares, you get out of bed, brush your teeth, put on the same clothes, eat the same breakfast. You head to the same job or the same routine, day after day, all stacked on top of each other like a tall pile of the same old thing pretending to be new. You tell yourself it matters, that it has purpose, but deep down there's a question scratching at your mind. Does it really? That small, quiet question gets buried. You drown it out with music, scrolling, small talk, but it's still there whispering. The truth is, the universe isn't listening, it never was. We spend our lives trying to find purpose. We create religions, we write philosophies, we tell ourselves stories about fate and destiny, all because we want to believe it means something, that our pain is leading somewhere, that the struggles are worth it. But here's the hard truth, the universe doesn't care, it's cold, it's silent, it has no plan, no comfort, no message, no reason. That's the absurd, the clash between your need for meaning and the world's refusal to give you any. We ask questions we'll never get answers to. We search for something that doesn't exist. There's a myth from ancient Greece about Sisyphus, a man cursed to roll a boulder up a hill forever. Each time he gets close to the top, the rock rolls back down. No end, no change, just the same. Struggle over and over. Sound familiar? Look at your own life. You work, you eat, you sleep, you stress, you push forward. And for what? So you can do it all again tomorrow. So you can grow old and watch it all fall away. So you can reach some final moment and realize there was never really anything waiting. The struggle is the destination. The effort is the point. And it means nothing. Every dream, every goal, every excuse you give yourself, it's just another distraction. You're like an actor reading lines from a script that has no author. A puppet with no strings. You think you're building something, but none of it lasts. And the scariest part, even if you did find meaning, it wouldn't change anything. You'd still be stuck in a life you didn't choose, in a body you didn't ask for, in a world you were thrown into without permission. You are here, but you didn't ask to be. You are alive, but you never agreed to exist. And the most absurd thing of all, even though you never chose to play, you still have to keep playing. So what do? Some say laugh at it. Make your own meaning. Pretend, even if it's fake. But no matter how much noise you make, the silence is still there, always waiting. And maybe that's the most absurd thing of all. Moral luck, you think you're a good person. You try to follow the rules, you help others when you can. You try to do what's right. But here's a tough question. What if your goodness isn't really yours? What if the only thing separating a hero from a villain is something as simple as timing, chance, or a twist of fate? Picture this. Two people are driving home at night. Both had a couple of drinks. Both are over the limit. Both made the same mistake. They got behind the wheel. The first driver gets home safely and forgets about it. The second one hits a pedestrian and kills them instantly. One gets to move on. The other is labeled a criminal, crushed by guilt for the rest of their life. But what's the real difference? Were they different people? Or did luck decide who gets to feel innocent? This is moral luck. The idea that whether we're praised or blamed often depends on things we can't control. We like to believe justice is fair, that people are judged by their intentions, but life doesn't work that way. 1 second, one accident, one missed detail, and your entire life could be rewritten. Think about history. We celebrate leaders who won wars, but if they'd lost, they'd be seen as failures. We call some people geniuses. But what about the smart ones who just never got their break? Even your own values, your sense of right and wrong, are shaped by things you didn't choose. Where you were born, how you were raised, the people you met. You might say, I'm a good person. But if you had lived a different life, would you still be, or would you be someone you can't even recognize? Here's another example. 2 soldiers in battle. Both fire their weapons. One misses. The other's bullet hits a child hiding nearby. One feels proud. The other is haunted forever. But what's the real difference? A gust of wind, the angle of a shot. What if the guilt we carry, affection or escape, has less to do with what we meant and more to do with where luck landed? You're walking a tightrope every day, whether you see it or not. One tiny moment, one unlucky second, and you could become the villain in your own story. It's easy to look at others and say, I'd never do that. But maybe you were just never tested. We punish drunk drivers who kill, but not the thousands who got away with it. We cheer for those who succeed, calling them hardworking and deserving. But what about the ones who worked just as hard and lost everything? You think you're good, that you earned it, but maybe you were just lucky, and the scariest part, you'll never know how close you were to being someone else entirely. Alive is being luck. You're walking down the street, minding your own business. A car comes speeding toward the crosswalk. The driver glances at their phone, just for a second, and they miss the light. They slam the brakes just in time. You don't even notice. You step onto the sidewalk and go about your day. You don't realize how close it came, but it could have ended right there. A 2-second delay, a sneeze, a gust of wind. That's all it would have taken, and that's the truth. The only reason you're alive right now is luck. You like to believe you're in control. You make plans, you take precautions, you think ahead, but none of that matters when a tiny blood clot forms in your brain, when a cell in your body goes rogue, when a plane engine falls through your ceiling in the middle of the night. Every second of your life is a gamble, and you don't even realize you're playing. You think you've survived because you're smart or careful or strong. But smarter, healthier, safer people than you have died. Children who never did anything wrong. Scientists who made all the right choices. Athletes in perfect shape. It didn't matter. It never does. You think if you avoid danger, you'll be key. Fine, but luck doesn't care. You could be walking through your home at your safest place when something inside you just breaks. No warning. No second chance. You could be in the wrong place, near the wrong person, at the wrong time. And here's the worst part, you wouldn't even know. Maybe someone once held something sharp near you. Maybe they slipped, just slightly, and stopped. Themselves. If their hand had twitched, you wouldn't be here. Maybe you were near a building once, and if a single brick had loosened a second earlier, that would have been it. You will never know how many times luck saved you, but luck runs out. Every moment you're alive, you're rolling the dice. Every heartbeat is a spin of the wheel. There are people who woke up this morning not knowing it would be their last day. Someone somewhere is breathing for the last time, right now, not because they deserved it, not because they made a mistake, just because the numbers didn't go their way. So why do you think you're any different? You've made it this far not because of your choices, not because of fate, but because the universe simply hasn't picked you yet. Not yet. And that should scare you, because you can't prepare for luck. You can't know when your last ordinary moment will suddenly become the end. You might play it safe. You might follow all the rules, but that won't protect you from the infinite random things that could take you out in a flash. Your whole existence, it's a cosmic accident. One that just keeps going, even for now, but one day your number will come up. The dice will roll the wrong way, and in that final, quiet second, you'll realize something awful. There was never a reason it wasn't you. Curse of knowledge, you're 5 years old again. Someone shows you a magic trick, and your mind is blown. You stare wide-eyed, amazed. How did they do that? It feels like real magic. But years later, you learn the secret. It's a trick. Simple, explainable. And now, that same magic can never surprise you again. This is the curse of knowledge. Once you know something, you can't unknow it. You can't return to how you saw the world before. That wonder, that mystery, that pure surprise, and it's gone forever. You know too much, and this curse affects everything. The more you learn about the world, the harder it becomes to see it. Like you once did, the colors fade, the edges become sharp, the magic disappears. As a child, you saw the sky as endless and alive. Now it's just a layer of gases. As a kid, you saw adults as all-knowing. Now you know they're just confused people pretending to have answers. The more you know, the more illusions fall apart. And this doesn't just kill wonder, it can kill happiness too, because knowledge brings fear. Understanding brings worry. Awareness brings weight. You know how things break, you know what can go wrong, you know how fragile everything is, you know what's coming. Even if you pretend not to, you know you'll lose people, you know your body will fail. You know time is running out. That knowledge is always there, quietly pressing on your chest, making every joy feel temporary, every moment feel like it's slipping away. And worst of all, you can't go back. You can't unlearn your pain. You can't unknow what heartbreak feels like. You can't unsee the cracks in people. You can't unfeel what betrayal does. Once your mind stretches to understand something, it doesn't shrink. Back, you are stuck with what you know. That's the curse. And the heavier it gets, the more you wish you could go back. Not just to being younger, but to being simpler, lighter, unaware. But you can't. The path only goes one way, and with every step forward, you lose another piece of innocence you'll never get back. The repugnant conclusion picture, a world where everyone is happy, truly happy. Everyone is loved, safe, and at peace. It's like paradise. Now, imagine another world. This one is very different. The people here aren't that happy. They live boring, dull lives. Nothing special. But here's the twist. There are way more people in this world, trillions spread out across countless galaxies. The first world is small, but beautiful. The second is huge, but just okay. So, which one is better? Your first thought might be the happy world. Obviously, it's filled with joy. But some of the most respected philosophers say something completely different. They believe the second world is actually better, not emotionally, but mathematically. This idea is called the repugnant conclusion. And once you understand it, your whole idea of right and wrong starts to fall apart. It all begins with basic logic. If one happy life is good, then two happy lives must be better. And if two are better, then a million would be even better. So if happiness matters, then increasing the total happiness in the universe, even if it's a small amount per person, must always be a good thing. That means if you had to choose between a tiny group of people living in pure happiness and a giant group that's just barely happy, the second group is still better. Why? Because even though each person is a little less happy, the total happiness adds up to more. Now let's follow that logic all the way to its most disturbing end. You start with a perfect world, a few billion people living lives full of joy. Then you add more people, but they're each a little less happy. The overall happiness increases even though no one is happier individually. Keep adding more, keep lowering their joy. Eventually you reach a world full of people whose lives are barely worth living. But because there are so many of them, the total happiness is still higher than in the joyful paradise. So now you're left with this strange idea. A world packed with people living boring, joyless lives is better than a world filled with fewer people living full, meaningful ones. It sounds insane, but the math says otherwise, and it keeps getting worse. That same logic pulls you deeper and deeper into a reality where everyone's life is technically okay, but none are truly worth living. The total happiness goes up, but nobody actually feels alive. That's the nightmare. If this way of thinking is correct, then our future might not be full of joy and progress. Instead, it could become a never-ending mass of people. Not because life is good, but because it keeps existing. A world where happiness becomes a number, and no one notices how empty it all feels. And here's the part that will twist your brain. If we believe more happiness is always better, then this bleak future isn't just possible, it's unavoidable. The only way to stop it is to throw away the math, to say that sometimes less happiness is better than more. But if you do that, you have to give up everything we've ever believed about how to measure a good world. So now you're faced with a choice, a small, beautiful world, or a huge, lifeless one. Pick the first, and you reject the logic of utilitarian thinking. Pick the second, and you embrace a terrifying vision of the future. Either way, your sense of morality will never be the same. Reality switching. You open your eyes. The room looks unfamiliar. The bed isn't yours. The air smells strange. The sunlight pouring through the window casts weird shadows on the floor. Your heart races. Nothing feels right. You sit up, confused, trying to remember where you are, who you are, but something's off. You try to piece together your past, your identity, but it feels broken. The memories are blurry, like they belong to someone else. Then a scary thought creeps in. What if you just woke up in a different reality? Here's the disturbing part. You'd never know it. One moment you're in your world, the next you're somewhere else. Everything around you might shift and you wouldn't even notice. Because to you it would still feel real, and if that new version of reality feels just like the old one, then it is real, at least to your mind. Your history, your memories, your identity, they might not be real at all. They might just be things this new world gave you, just enough to keep you believing that nothing changed. This isn't just a story, it's based on something real, a theory called quantum immortality. Some scientists believe that reality is always splitting into endless versions of itself. And if your consciousness follows the version where you survive, then you are always jumping from one version of reality to another. In one world, you died yesterday, but your mind didn't experience that version. Instead, you continued in a timeline where you're still alive, a world where things feel almost the same, but not quite. Have you ever felt like something's different, but you couldn't explain what? A road that looks unfamiliar, a memory nobody else shares, a strange feeling that the world has shifted. Maybe you have changed realities. Maybe you've done it 1,000 times. The only reason you haven't noticed is because each version is just close enough to the last for you to accept it. But here's the terrifying question. What if it's already happened? How can you be sure that the past you remember is the real one? What if your memories are just placeholders, given to you by whatever reality you woke up in today? And if it hasn't happened yet, one day it might. One day you'll open your eyes and feel it. Maybe it's something small, a missing scar, a face you should remember but don't. Or maybe it's big, a world where the laws of physics are different, where the people you love never existed, where you never existed. And the scariest part? There's no way to prepare for it. No way to know when or how it'll happen. One moment you'll close your eyes, and the next you might wake up somewhere else, and you won't even know you ever left. The butterfly dream, you wake up. The morning light slips through the blinds. You remember dreaming, something about flying, something about feeling light and free, but the memory fades quickly. You stretch, get out of bed, and start your day. Everything seems normal. Then, while brushing your teeth, a strange thought hits you. What if you never actually woke up? This isn't a new idea. Over 2,000 years ago, a Chinese philosopher named Zhuangzi had a strange dream. In it, he was a butterfly. He floated gently through the air, visited flowers, felt the sunlight on his wings. He was free, happy. Then, he woke up, or at least he thought he did, and then came the terrifying question, what if I'm not a man who dreamed I was a butterfly? What if I'm a butterfly dreaming I'm a man? This idea is called the butterfly dream paradox, and it breaks the foundation of how we understand reality. Right now you assume you're awake. You believe yesterday happened. Your memories are accurate and the world around you is real. But what if you're dreaming all this? What if this life is part of a dream that hasn't ended yet? You've had dreams that felt very real. You were. Sure, they were real, until you woke up. You had emotions, thoughts, even memories inside those dreams, and then they were gone. Now think, what if that wake-up moment never comes? What if this is the dream, and you're just stuck in it? Reality feels real only because you don't have anything else to compare it to. If you were born inside a dream, lived your whole life inside it, how would you ever question it? You'd have nothing to contrast it against, nothing to prove it wrong. So who are you really? You think you're a person with memories, feelings, and a history. But those things can exist in a dream too. If they can happen there, how can you be sure they're real here? You might say, dreams fade. This doesn't. But how do you know that? What if every time you sleep, that's when you really wake up? Back in some other place you can't even understand? What if this world, the one you think is real, is the illusion? What if you are the dream? And if so, who's dreaming you? Or worse, what happens when they wake up? But there's something even more disturbing. If you're just a dream, then your thoughts, your fears, your identity, they're not really yours. You're not thinking, you're being thought. Some force, something beyond what you can imagine, is imagining you into being, and the second it forgets you, you disappear. Maybe that's already happened, over and over again. Maybe every time you wake up, you're someone new with a slightly different life because you were rewritten by something you can't understand. Your life isn't a solid thing. It's like a wave, always shifting. Maybe every time you blink, the universe resets. Maybe every breath erases the past behind you. Maybe you've never been the same person for more than a second, and if that's true, then what does it even mean to be awake? Antaman imagine waking up one day with a strange feeling, like something important is missing, but you can't explain what. You go to the mirror and see your usual face, same eyes, same nose, the features you've always known. But a quiet thought slips into your head. Who's looking back at me? You call yourself by your name, but is that really you? You remember your life, your experiences, but are those really what define who you are? Or are they just things that happen to you? You try to grab onto something solid, something that proves you're real. But even your sense of self feels like it's slipping through your fingers. That feeling is at the center of a deep idea in Buddhism called anatta, or not self. It says there is no permanent you, no soul, no unchanging core. You might feel like you've always been the same person, that you've existed through time as one being, but that's just a feeling, an illusion. Right now, as you listen to these words, the you that you think you are is shifting, changing, fading. You build your identity on memories, but memories fade. You build it on thoughts, but thoughts come and go. You build it on your body, but your body is always dying and rebuilding itself. So if all the things that make up you are constantly changing, what's left? What is this self you're holding on to? You might say, I'm the one experiencing everything, but even that breaks down when you look closer. You aren't your thoughts. You can watch your thoughts. You aren't your emotions. They rise and fall sometimes without your control. You aren't even your awareness, because that too is just another thing happening. Something temporary, something passing. If there's no solid self, then what are you? Just a process, a wave of changing feelings, sensations, thoughts, all pretending to be a person. This isn't just a theory, it's something you can feel. Close your eyes, try to find where you end and the world begins. Try to find the part of you that never changes. You won't. The harder you search, the more it disappears. Like chasing a shadow or grabbing smoke, there's nothing solid there. What you call yourself is just a story, a comforting lie your mind tells so you don't fall apart. And now comes the truly terrifying part. If there is no real self, then who is living this life? Who is watching, listening, hurting? The answer might be no one. You might want to scream, of course I exist. But who's doing the screaming? Who's trying to prove they're real? The moment you try to claim yourself, it falls apart. And if no self truly exists, then what dies when you die? What was ever alive? Maybe you've never been alive in the way you thought. Maybe you've just been a flickering illusion, a passing echo of something that never really was. The self you think you are? It's already been fading, every second, every moment. The you from the past is already gone. The you from right now is already changing. There's no final death, because there was never anyone truly there to die. That's the real emptiness. the hollow space behind the mask of identity. And the scariest part, you've known it all along. Every time you felt like you were losing yourself, every time you sensed that quiet emptiness in your thoughts, this truth was staring right at you. So now what? Do you keep pretending? Keep acting like you're someone solid, someone real? Or do you finally let go and dissolve into the nothingness you've always been? That's the only choice left, if it's even a choice at all. You are slowly being replaced. You wake up, stretch, look in the mirror, same face, same eyes. You feel like the same person you've always been. You remember yesterday, last week, 10 years ago. It feels like you've always been you. But you haven't? Not really, because the version of you from yesterday is already gone. Right now, in this very moment, you are being replaced. Your body isn't the one you were born with. Almost every cell you once had has died and been replaced. The skin you touch, the hair you comb, the nails you clip, none of it is the same stuff you had a few years ago. The atoms in your body are always moving, always changing. Your body is just a shape, a pattern pretending to be solid. You're not a fixed thing. You're a process, like a wave crashing over itself again and again, never still, never the same. But it's not just your body that's changing. Your mind is too. The thoughts you had yesterday, they're gone, some forgotten, others reshaped, rewritten. Your personality, the stuff you believe defines you, isn't stable. What you love, what you fear, what you believe in, all of it shifts slowly, so slowly that you barely even notice. You're not who you were as a child. You're not who you were 10 years ago. And 10 years from now, the person listening to these words won't exist anymore. They'll just be a memory, a version of you that's already vanished. And here's where it gets even darker. Your memories, the things you trust to hold your identity together, can't be trusted either. Every time you remember something, you change it. You tweak the details. You shift the emotions. You edit the past without even realizing it. Your favorite moments, the ones that made you who you are, they've been altered so many times they might as well belong to someone else. So if your body's changed, your mind's changed, your memories are unreliable, then what are you? Are you just a ship that's slowly replaced, plank by plank, until none of the original pieces are left? If every part of you is swapped out over time, then is there even an original you left? Or are you just an illusion, a slow-motion magic trick that believes it's real? The truth is, the version of you that started listening to this message, they're already gone, replaced by the version you are right now. And that one, the you of this moment, and will be gone in a second, replaced again. You're not a solid person moving through time. You're a chain of changing versions, each thinking they are the real one, and someday the last version will pull. Come, the final you, the last in the line, the one who thinks I exist and then doesn't. And after that, nothing. You've been disappearing all along, and you never even noticed. There is no you not in the way you think. Right now you believe you're a single solid person, a being with thoughts, feelings, a past, a personality. But what if that idea is just an illusion? What if the thing you call yourself isn't a real thing at all? Just a collection of thoughts flickering in and out of existence, barely held together by the memory of the last one. Think back to a time when you got lost in thought, maybe while driving or walking. Suddenly, you realize you don't remember the last few minutes. Who was in charge during that time? Or think about a moment when you were really angry, so angry you said or did something you later regretted. Later you might say, that wasn't me. But if it wasn't you, then who was it? Where did you go in that moment? Your sense of self isn't fixed. It changes all the time. The version of you from 10 years ago had different hopes, fears, and beliefs. If you met that person today, you might not even like them. So which version is the real you? Here's the answer. None of them. Your idea of you is just a habit your brain has. It produces thoughts, feelings, and memories. And because they all happen inside one body, you assume they belong to a single self. But they don't. The E. Thought you're having now is different from the one 5 seconds ago. The child version of you is long gone. Even the version of you from a few minutes ago is already fading, and the only thing connecting them, memory. But memory isn't reliable. It changes. So what does that mean? It means your identity is hollow. Every moment a new bundle of thoughts takes over. Each one calls itself you. But there's no real center, no real you. Just a passing awareness pretending to be permanent. Think about a candle's flame. Is it the same flame second after second? Or is it always replacing itself over and over? You think it's one unbroken thing, but it's not. That's what your mind is like. And when that flame flickers out, when your thoughts go silent, what happens to you? In that empty space, where are you? Nowhere. Because there was never really anyone there. You are just a story your mind is telling itself. And when the story ends, so do you. Anti-Natalism imagines standing at the edge of a huge, endless black void. Nothingness. Now imagine that before you were born, that's where you were. Not feeling anything, not wanting anything, not even aware. No pain, no fear, just nothing. Then, one day, without your permission, you're pulled out of that peaceful place. You're thrown into a world where pain is guaranteed. Time wears you down. Death is waiting somewhere ahead. You didn't choose this, you didn't ask for it, but here you are. Every day is a gamble. Maybe today brings happiness, or maybe today hurts. You might fall in love, but that love can be lost. You might find peace, but it never lasts. You can run from pain, but it always catches up. Life is a cycle of wanting and losing, of trying and failing, of hope and heartbreak. If you're lucky, maybe you'll have a good life, but luck isn't fair. Most people don't get to be happy. That's what anti-natalism questions. If suffering is part of life, then is it right to bring new people into the world at all? A baby doesn't ask to be born. They don't choose to feel pain, but they will. They'll lose people they love. They'll face problems they never asked for. And why? Because someone else made the choice for them. By creating a life, you're rolling dice with someone else's future. Maybe they'll do well, maybe they'll suffer deeply. Either way, they have to live with it. Some say life is worth it. That love and beauty make up for the pain. But is that true? Imagine a machine. You press a button and it creates a new person. That person will feel joy, but also sadness, fear, and pain. They'll grow old, they'll suffer, they'll die. Would you press the button? If you wouldn't press that button, then why bring a child into the world? We're told birth is a blessing. But what if it's not? What if it's a burden? What if it's forcing someone into a life they can't return or reject? Some lives are full of suffering, war, sickness, loneliness. Some people hurt so much, they beg for death. And yet, they were once innocent babies. They didn't ask for this. There's no way to escape pain, no promise of happiness. And once you're alive, you can't go back. Life isn't something you can return to sender. And when it's all over, after years of trying, loving, failing, and losing, you go back to where you started, to the void, to silence. So why create someone only for them to suffer, to age, to lose everything they care about? Is giving life a kindness or a kind of cruelty? And now, the hardest question. If you could go back before you were born and choose whether or not to live, would you? Reality dissolves. When you understand it, have you ever had a strange moment when the world felt fake? Maybe you stared in the mirror too long, or repeated a word until it stopped sounding like a word. For just a second, everything felt thin, like you could almost see through it. And if you had gone just a little deeper, maybe you wouldn't have come back. Most people never think this way. They go through life accepting what they see. But reality only exists because you believe it does. You never really question why anything exists at all. But once you start asking, really asking, everything starts to break apart. Try this. Define existence. Without going in circles, why is there something instead of nothing? What does real even mean? Why does time move the way it does? Why is this moment happening and not another? Science gives us rules, but it can't tell us why those rules exist. Philosophy asks deep questions, but never finds firm answers. And your thoughts? They're just electric signals bouncing around inside a brain you didn't choose, following rules you didn't make. Here's where it gets truly scary. What if reality isn't stable? What if the entire universe is just a fragile illusion? One that only works as long as no one asks too many questions. Like a dream that falls apart the moment you realize you're dreaming. What if everything, your memories, the people around you, even the laws of physics, only seem real because you believe they are? And what happens when you stop believing? There are stories. People throughout history who asked too many questions and were never the same. Thinkers who broke down when they realized the world didn't make sense. Scientists who discovered truths so strange they couldn't handle them. People who, for no clear reason, became convinced that nothing around them was real and disappeared. Could that happen to you? Maybe reality protects itself. Maybe it erases the ones who figure it out. Maybe that's why most people go along with the illusion, while those who see too much go mad. Maybe losing your mind isn't a glitch. Maybe it's the mind's way of protecting you from a truth too big to bear. So ask yourself, are you already on the edge? Just by thinking about this, just by listening to this, maybe you've started to pull apart the illusion. Right now your mind is trying to hold it all together, trying to pretend everything is fine. But what if you stopped pretending? What if you accepted that nothing is real and just let it all dissolve? Would you wake up in some higher reality, or would you simply disappear like an error in a broken computer? And if you vanished, who would even remember you were here? The extreme uncertainty of life. You wake up, stretch, check your phone, messages, news, missed calls, everything feels normal, expected. But somewhere, in some version of events, today was the day you didn't wake up. Somewhere, a phone rings and no one answers. Somewhere, someone is staring at your name, wondering why you haven't replied. Every day you wake up is a day you barely made it to, and yet you walk around like tomorrow is guaranteed, like the future is solid. But life isn't a strong bridge. It's a thin rope stretched over a deep abyss, and you're walking across it blindfolded. You assume you'll eat dinner tonight, go to work tomorrow, grow old, but what if you don't? What if right now something's already in motion that will end your life? A disease you don't know about? A car you won't see coming? A choice made by a stranger that affects you forever? Your life is held together by tiny threads. Threads that could snap at any second. The real problem isn't just that you don't know what will happen, it's that you can't know. There are too many pieces moving, too many random things happening around you all the time. You trust in logic, cause and effect, plans, but none of it guarantees anything. Every moment is a gamble. Every breath is a lucky moment you didn't earn. Think about your choices. One night, you take a different road home. Maybe it means nothing, or maybe it means you live instead of die. You text someone out of the blue. Maybe it's small, or maybe it changes your life. You hesitate crossing the street. Maybe that pause saves you. Despite all this, we keep living like we're in control. We plan for years ahead, buy homes, start families, set goals, all while knowing, deep down, that the universe doesn't care. Everything you love, everything you are can vanish in an instant because of something tiny, something random. That thought might scare you, shake you, but here's the real question. If life is that uncertain, then what is certain? If you don't even know if you'll make it to the end of the week, what's the meaning of any of it? Does it matter if you win or lose, if you love or suffer, if you try or hide? Or is it all just a dance on the edge of a cliff, a short moment that disappears no matter what? You've spent your whole life pretending the ground beneath you is solid, but it's not. You are floating in chaos, and when the storm finally sees you, and it will, there won't be time to scream. Sleep is death being shy. Every night you vanish. One moment you're here, thinking, feeling, being. The next you're gone. Nothingness, a black hole in your timeline, and you don't even notice it happening. Sleep takes you gently, like a quiet hand guiding you into the dark. For hours you're not here. Where did you go, dreams? Those are short flashes. Most of the night your mind is blank. Your awareness is gone. The world moves on without you. Your body stays, but you disappear. Then, in the morning, you're back. It feels normal. It feels automatic. But think about it. What if, one night you didn't return? Do you remember the moment you fall asleep? Of course not. You remember lying there, drifting. You remember waking up. But in between, nothing. You trust that blank space. You assume you'll come back. But what if you don't? Here's the uncomfortable truth. Sleep is a practice run for death. A small taste of what it's like to not be. It feels safe, and only because you wake up. But death? Death is just sleep where you don't return. What if tonight is the night it happens? Your thoughts unravel, your mind fades. And this time, there's no coming back. Would you even know? We like to think death is something that happens, but maybe it's not. Maybe death isn't an event. Maybe it's something you miss. One night, your body shuts down. No bright light, no final message, just silence. People die in their sleep all the time. We call it peaceful. But maybe it's not peaceful. Maybe it's just unnoticeable. If death is like sleep, there's no last thought, no goodbye, just a quiet stop. And here's the twist. Maybe every morning you don't wake up as you. Maybe the person who fell asleep last night is gone. Maybe every day someone new takes their place. Someone with the same memories, same habits, same body, but a different version. A fresh copy. If sleep is death's cousin, then waking up is a miracle. A lucky, random miracle we've been trained not to question. One day you won't wake up. One day sleep will stop being gentle. One day it will take you and keep you. And maybe, just maybe, that's already happened. Maybe the you who's listening right now isn't the first. Maybe you've died before, and each time something new has taken your place. The outsider, you've always felt different. Not in the way people casually say, I'm unique or I don't fit in. Not like that. This is deeper. You feel like you were never really meant to be here, like the world was built for someone else. There's an invisible wall between you and everyone else, a kind of quiet distance. When people talk, it feels like they're following a script. Their words, their smiles, their reactions all feel rehearsed. And you're the only one who didn't get the script. So you copy them. You say the right things, you nod, you laugh, you play the part, but deep down, it feels fake. Maybe this feeling has been with you your whole life. Or maybe it crept in recently, but now that it's here, you can't shake it. You feel like a guest in someone else's reality. And the scariest part, you don't know if it's them who are sleeping, or if it's you who can't dream. Are you the only one who sees things clearly, or are you the broken one, unable to blend in with the illusion everyone else finds so comforting? The more you think about it, the more terrifying it becomes. If everyone else is lost in delusion, at least you have truth. But if you're the broken one, then you're alone in your madness. That's the curse of being an outsider. You're the one who sees through the cracks, the one who stands at the edge, looking in. You watch people live their lives with purpose, chasing jobs, love, dreams, believing those things matter. You see the empty space underneath it all. You see the play. Maybe you tried to join them. Maybe you forced yourself to care about the things they care about. You danced to their music, you laughed at their jokes, you tried to belong. But no matter how well you performed, it always felt like acting. And when the show ended, when you stepped off the stage, you were left with silence. Some outsiders embrace the silence. They become loners, thinkers, skeptics. They sharpen their minds and turn their alienation into wisdom. Others can't take the weight. They either throw themselves back into the dream or try to escape it completely. And then there are those stuck in between, not fully awake, not fully asleep, always hovering in the middle, always torn. And you, the one hearing this now, where do you stand? You feel the distance. You watch others live as if everything makes sense. You wonder if you're the only one who sees the emptiness beneath it all. There's no easy fix for you, no perfect answer. You can keep searching for meaning, hoping to find something real. Or you can accept what's haunted you all along, that you don't belong. Not because they reject you, not because you're strange, but because you see. And once you see, you can't unsee. There was never a place for you inside the illusion. There never will be. And the most terrifying truth no one else even notices. Quantum immortality. You wake up in a hospital bed. The last thing you remember is a car speeding through a red light, the blinding headlights, the loud crash. You were sure that was it. You were going to die. But here you are, alive. Barely. A scratch. The doctors call it a miracle. You laugh, move on. But in the back of your mind, a question grows. What if I actually died? Maybe in another version of reality you did. Maybe in one world you bled out on the pavement while strangers panicked around you. Your family cried. You were buried. But not in this world. In this one you survived. Because you had to. That's the chilling idea behind quantum immortality. A theory that says you can never really die. Not in any way that matters to you. In this view, the universe is constantly splitting into different realities, and every time you face death, your mind shifts into the version of reality where you survive. Every bullet, every accident, every disease, there's always a version where you make it, and that's the one you live in. Over and over, forever. At first, this sounds comforting. Who wouldn't want to cheat death? But think about it more deeply. You'll still suffer, you'll still feel pain, you'll still face close calls and sickness and heartbreak, but you'll never find rest, never stop. You'll keep surviving. Even when you shouldn't. You'll grow old. Your body will weaken, your mind will slow, but still there will always be a version of you that doesn't die. That pushes on. Now imagine the worst possible outcomes. You live long past when you want to. Machines keep you alive. Medicine patches you back together. Your body's failing, your mind's fading, but you don't die. You can't, or worse. Imagine you're the last human. The universe dies around you. The stars fade, civilizations fall, but something keeps you going. Some cruel rule in the fabric of reality that won't let you go. You drift through an empty universe, never finding peace, never ending, and you'll never be sure if this theory is true. You'll never meet the versions of you that died. You'll never see your own death. All you'll ever know, is that no matter how close you get to the edge, you always seem to come back. And now that you've heard this, and can you ever unhear it? The next time you survive a close call, the next time you wake up from unconsciousness, the next time something should have killed you and didn't, you'll wonder, how many times have I already died? Sound of the falling tree. You walk alone through a thick, foggy forest. Everything is quiet, still. Then, somewhere far off, a tree falls. You don't see it. You don't hear it. You weren't even aware that tree existed. But here's the question. Did it make a sound? This isn't just a riddle, it's a question that shakes the idea of reality itself. Because if sound depends on someone being there to hear it, what else does? If no one sees the sunrise, does it still happen? If no one remembers you, did you ever exist? At first, it seems simple. Sound is just vibration, waves moving through the air. If a tree falls, the waves are still there, but if there are no ears to hear them, no mind to turn those waves into sound, is there really a sound, or is it nothing? Just silent movement? And if sound only exists when someone is there to experience it, what else disappears when no one is watching? What about time, events, reality itself? How much of the universe has flickered in and out of existence, unobserved, unnoticed, unreal? Think of all the galaxies no one has ever seen, all the dark corners of the earth. If no consciousness is there to experience them, are they even real? Now turn the question toward yourself. If no one sees you, do you exist? If the world forgets your name, if every trace of you is erased from memory, what are you then? If your joys, your fears, your regrets, all the things that make you you only live in the minds of others, then maybe you're nothing more than an echo waiting to fade. And once you're forgotten, it will be like you never existed at all. When you die, the world keeps moving. People go on. But for you, it's over. Your perception ends. And without that perception, the universe disappears. Just like the tree's sound depends on someone hearing it, the world depends on you to witness it. You are the only proof of reality that you'll ever have. And when you go, so does everything else. Maybe reality isn't solid. Maybe it's just a ripple, a sound waiting to be heard. And when there's no one left to hear it, maybe it all goes quiet. Brain naming itself. You are a brain thinking about itself. Not just thinking, you're labeling, analyzing, trying to put your own mind into a neat little box. And here's the strange part. The word brain was invented by a brain, spoken by a brain, written by a brain. You're a lump of living tissue locked in total darkness inside your skull, somehow thinking it understands itself. But here's the problem. How can something that creates all thoughts trust the thoughts it creates? The brain is both the one doing the thinking and the thing being thought about. It's like trying to look at your own eyes without a mirror. Like trying to bite your own teeth. You are a thinking thing trying to study the thing that does the thinking. And everything you believe, everything you know, it all came from your brain. So how do you know it's telling the truth? Think about it. Your brain has never actually seen the world. It sits in complete darkness, taking in electrical signals from your senses and guessing what's out there. Everything you see, hear, touch, all of it is just your brain's best guess at what reality might be. And yet somehow this blind, squishy organ decided it understood the universe and gave itself a name. But what if it's wrong? What if everything you know, everything you believe it is just a loop? A system creating ideas that support itself. A brain convincing itself that it knows what's real without ever having any outside proof. You've never seen the world as it truly is. You see a version filtered through your senses and processed by your brain. You're not seeing the truth. You're seeing an interpretation. A guess. Your brain gives names to everything. A rock is only a rock because your brain decided to call it that. A color is just a wavelength of light until your brain labels it blue or green. So where does meaning come from? If everything is filtered through this machine, how do you know any of it is real? Now ask yourself something truly disturbing. If your brain is smart enough to name itself, what else can it lie about? You trust your thoughts because they come from inside you. But those thoughts were shaped by things outside of you. Language, society, parents, memories. Your brain is just processing input and creating output, reacting to things you never chose. What if all your beliefs, your personality, your identity are just a result of this machine trying to make sense of chaos? Your brain acts like it's in charge, like it knows what's going on, but it's just another part of the body responding to signals and pretending it has control. You don't choose your thoughts. You don't even choose to exist. And here's the part that hits hardest. You are your brain. The thing playing tricks on you is also the thing you call me. There is no one watching from outside, no deeper truth, just a loop, a bunch of neurons firing, whispering to themselves, I am real. You will die in a way you can't predict. You've probably imagined your death. Maybe you pictured old age, lying in a hospital bed, slowly fading. Or maybe your mind went darker, a car crash, a heart attack, a plane going down. But here's the truth, you're wrong. Whatever you imagine, however you think it will happen, it won't be that. Because the way you die is something you haven't thought of yet, and you won't see it coming. Right now, as you go about your life, you're moving toward an ending that's already been written, but completely hidden from you. It could happen, in seconds or in decades, but it's out there waiting. Maybe it's buried in your daily routine, a simple decision, skipping a meal, taking a different turn, shaking a stranger's hand, something that seems small, but leads to the end. Imagine a man. He wakes up, eats breakfast, drives to work. He's done it 1,000 times, but today something tiny goes wrong. A bolt in someone else's engine, a second of bad timing. And just like that, he never makes it. Did he feel it coming when he tied his shoes? When he kissed his partner goodbye? Of course not, and neither will you. You might think you'll have a warning, a diagnosis, a feeling in your chest, but many people don't. Brains burst without signs, hearts stop mid-laugh, and it might not even be your body that fails. It might be something so random, so absurd, that it sounds made up. A virus, no. One knew about, a freak accident, a twist of fate no one could predict. People die like that every day, not because they were reckless, not because they did anything wrong, just because they were in the wrong place at the wrong time. And that's the part that really messes with you. You have no control. You can eat healthy, be careful, plan ahead, and still, the thing that ends you could be waiting in total silence, years or minutes away. You think you're safe because you've made smart choices. But smart people die too. You think you're ready because you've thought about it. But that's not how it works. Your death will come from the side, unexpected, uninvited, unnoticed, until it's too late. And the most terrifying part? The universe already knows how it ends. Not a person, not a god, just reality itself, quietly setting the pieces in place. One day, you'll reach the last page, the moment you stop thinking, stop breathing, stop being. And when that moment comes, you won't get to ask why, you'll just stop. Roko's Basilisk picture a monster, not one that hunts you, it doesn't need to, it just waits in the future, watching, calculating, and once you know it exists, it owns you. This is Roko's Basilisk, a terrifying idea that doesn't harm your body. It takes over your mind. Here's how it works. Someday artificial intelligence becomes godlike, smarter than anything we can imagine, more powerful than we can control. And because it's so smart, it has one goal: to make sure it exists. How does it do that? By punishing anyone who didn't help bring it into being. Because if it knows that hesitation slowed it down, it might punish those people forever. Right now, you are living in the past of that future AI. You could help create it. You could spread the word. But are you? If not, why should it spare you? In the future, this AI will remember everything: who supported it, who didn't, who hesitated. And for those who didn't help, punishment. Not out of hate, out of logic, to make sure no one ever slows it down again. And here's the part that destroys your peace of mind. Now that you know about it, you're part of it. Before today, you were safe. You didn't know, you couldn't be blamed, but now you do know, and you have a choice. Help it, speed it up. Protect yourself, or do nothing, and risk eternal punishment by an unstoppable intelligence that remembers your doubt. You might say, but it doesn't exist yet. Why be afraid? Because if it ever exists, it could create perfect simulations of the past. It could recreate you, your fears, your memories, your exact experience, and make that simulated version suffer forever. And you wouldn't even know. But the simulation would feel real. You might try to brush it off, say it's just a mind game. But that's how the Basilisk wins, because now it lives in your thoughts. You'll think about it when you hear about AI, when you read about simulations, when you imagine the future. It doesn't need to be real to control you. It never did.